All right, there we go. Welcome everyone to the October 3rd edition of the analytics section meeting. I've got a laundry list of agenda topics, but if anyone would like to add to it, please feel free to do so. Happy to talk about anything that's happening within the analytics section. But I'll start things off with a bunch of recent announcements. Some of them, since we haven't had a meeting in about 2 weeks, you may have seen, but worth reiterating. In case you did miss it, Sam joins us as Group Product Manager for Analytics officially. So he was acting product manager for product analytics and kind of going in between compliance and analytics, but now we have him. We have secured him permanently for the entire section. So thanks, Sam, for joining us. It's good
Yeah,
to
super
know.
excited to be here.
Yeah, anything you'd like to add or any words you'd like to add on top of that?
Um, yeah, so I'll just say again, I'm super excited to be here. I think we really have a great set of opportunities ahead of us with the analytics section. Between both of our groups, I think we have a huge chance to make a difference for our external customers as well as internal customers, and I'm excited to go on that journey with you all together.
Definitely. Exciting stuff. Continuing the exciting news, you may have seen recently that Jan will be joining us from compliance starting on October 18th. Rob is very excited about that visibly. Tim, I was excited as well. Smiles, I'm seeing smiles. It's very good. And that completes, sorry, that's a good question. Joins us from compliance. I already wrote this once and I forgot already. Joining product analytics as a front-end engineer there. So that means we are, and I'll jump a little bit, we are still looking for a front-end engineer for product intelligence. I did announce that during the group sync, but I'm just announcing it out of a wider audience here. Speaking is very difficult. I apologize. Just in the case anyone has referrals for front-end engineers for the product intelligence group, that is the final one that we have for the section for this year. But though hopefully we can add even more on top of that. So yeah, Jan will join us on the 18th there. And then just as another reminder, since we've been counting down the time, next Monday, Sebastian will be joining us as engineering manager for product intelligence. So a lot of new faces, a lot of official, a lot of good people coming on board. So I'm very excited about that. And to round out good news, just as another reminder, we do have another Friends and Family Day for October 7th. So don't forget to put that into PTO by Roots and enjoy the long weekend. Yeah, as far as group updates, starting off with product analytics, we're getting very, very close to being able to add instrumentation to the internal handbook. I gave a demo to this to Tim. Perhaps I'll do it to this group if people are interested enough in it. I have not prepared for it, so if you want to see what it looks like for me to demo, very offhand, then I will be gladly willing to entertain that. Or I can record a demo as well, Amanda. That'd probably be working better when I'm not at the tail end of my day here. But it's up to you. But at any rate, I've tested and complete end-to-end integration of getting the analytics stack set up, obviously, in our production cluster, getting that integrated with GitLab as a product with my GDK, which would be easily replicated with our production.com instance. They could watch the recording, that's true. But basically, point being is that I was able to go and set everything up from start to finish, including getting the code, the Jitsu code that we get from integrating with the service, and then being able to track events on that. And so I have that working on my own local environment, but just to be able to compose the steps required for infrastructure to do on .com and make sure that what we would expect to see is what we get. One thing I did catch is that we will need to update our content security policy since we refer to an external script for the JavaScript SDK. So that was something that I wanted to catch. I'm glad that I caught now so that when we get it set up for .com, we don't start trying to track things and then we get a bunch of, I don't remember the error code 403s or something like that when we're trying to load the JS SDK. But Yeah, that's just good news to say that there's a couple of minor steps we need to get to getting like the final steps for the internal handbook. They include making sure that we are able to hit the Jitsi endpoint correctly. There's a minor tweak we have to make there with our authentication file there. Of course, we need the production change ticket or issue as well. And then also, Sam, this is more of a question to you, or maybe we can take it to the group sync as well. But we've obviously got kind of like a communication schedule we want to do to make sure that people, both internal and external to GitLab, are aware of that we're going to start, collecting data. Maybe this is not appropriate for the internal handbook right now, and maybe more for actually instrumenting.com. But I just wanted to kind of check in with you there. And then, of course, Rob has already prepared a merge request for the internal handbook to be able to start tracking events there. So once we have everything set up on the .com instance, we can just add the key, add the endpoint, and we're good to go there. But Tim, you have a comment here. Would you like to vocalize that?
So as you mentioned, the content security policy, I haven't looked at the internal handbook, how this is set up, but would we have also there the possibility to do a local version of the JS SDK, like NPM node modules, shalala, and not going, I think we are in the MR, we are going to unpackaged, so that we are staying true first person data wise and don't have the content security policy problems?
The answer to that is it's a Hugo server. So it generates static HTML with a compiled JS. I can have a look. I think the answer is no, they have no node module system set up, but I can take another look at it.
Yeah, that would be cool, because now playing the devil's advocate, not that I would bring this up, but then people like, yeah, you're doing the first person, but you're sending data of the user to unpackaged because they are downloading the JS package there.
Yeah, we're loading the JS package, but we're not sending any data to there.
Yeah, not data, but
They'll see a different URL and then, yeah.
IP. It's not that I would bring up this argument, but I know that people could bring up this argument in the classic data protection hardcore discussion view. So
would it make sense to maybe mirror off our own CDN or something like that?
Could also take a look that we get it on the Cloudflare,
yeah,
which is currently also a villain, but that's another topic. But there we could at least host it for first party.
Yeah, the using unpackaged is purely just for convenience, because it automatically gets from NPM, gets deployed there. If we want to deploy it elsewhere, if we can't use an NPM module, I'm fine with that. I just don't know how.
Yeah, and I'm, to be honest, I'm 100% with you. It's for convenience reasons, it's the easiest. And I'm not sure if we are already using any other third-party scripts or anything in the internal handbook. It's just trying to.
We are.
Classic debate thingy. Okay, then yeah, it might be not big of a topic. Take a look. If it's easy, let's go roll with a local version. If it's too hard, then yeah, we cannot go possible.
Yeah, I think at any
rate, we can also put an FAQ page together and have this as one of the questions there. How is unpackaged being used? How is my data changing because of it? And put all of those details there, so it's pre-answered for if people come up with that question.
Yeah, and we can also call out and highlight like the repository as well, so they can take a look at the code and see that it's still going back to our server. I mean, if they dig into it, they'll see it, but it's good to just be upfront about it and try to calm as many doubts as possible. At any rate, I don't think it's going to be the biggest deal for the internal handbook, but definitely we'll want to have that FAQ ready, or at least that topic addressed for when we roll out to .com, and specifically to instrumentation there. Amanda, you had a comment as well about communication.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to post a light blog about just explaining what you're working on, the fact that you're working on it internally, to understand, how we could do this in a privacy-minded way. maybe a light explanation of the technical components, so that people understand that we're not sharing data with a third party, that sort of thing. As early as you can post something like that, even if you're not working on GitLab.com, but set the stage. That's, if you kind of envision a series of blog posts, this would be number one, set the stage. Then when you're thinking about how we can apply it to GitLab.com before you start work, another one, then you know what I mean, until you're final. And I think that would be a nice thing to refer to in the FAQ, as well as if we have to do any communications in the future, have that whole, like, we mapped out our journey and what we were doing and why and what it looks like. Just a suggestion.
Yeah,
So for sure. And so we've already started with that. And I think the series idea is something that we can definitely explore, just as we can kind of keep, it's good as well to kind of keep the interest there. Definitely with the internal handbook, since it's only going to affect GitLab team members, we want to just go make sure that we have a Slack announcement and an issue to collect feedback for internal stakeholders for now. And then I think after that, it would make sense to kind of do like that part one of saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do, and here's what we've done with the internal beginnings of what we're trying to do with the internal handbook, and then where we plan to go with that, so that people are aware that we're continuing to pursue this and apply it externally as well. So I think that's a good idea. Sam, I don't know if you had anything to add to that, since you've been drafting a lot of that content.
Yeah, so there's a couple different topics we can cover with the blog, which I like the idea of a series to cover, because the concept of what is product analytics, just from nothing to do with GitLab, how do I apply it to my own use cases, is a separate topic from how do we dog food it. I think putting content together about this is what product analytics is, how we envision you as a customer will use it yourself, is relatively straightforward. A lot of the open questions we got when we started with the initial blog draft related to how does dog fooding it at GitLab with GitLab.com, that's where a lot of the questions are going to come up. That's where a lot of that legal review started. How I would see this going is we could do a blog post about, we're doing this internally in the internal handbook. This is our broad sort of product vision for how we envision you using it in the future. Get some community involvement. I'm going to be talking about this at the customer advisory board here in a couple of weeks. And then as a follow-on blog in the future, once we figure out all those legal answers, then we start talking about our dog fooding plans. Once we have a little bit more firm idea on how we're going to do that correctly. That's how I'm thinking about it right now, at least.
Sam, I wonder if you could even use that blog post as an invitation for people to give feedback on, hey, do you want to be part of our pilot, or do you want to talk to us about how you might implement this in your kind of like customer interviews? I know you've done a lot of those already, but could be another angle where we're inviting the community to build with us, or collaborate with us.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Certainly once we get further along, I want us to do something around either an alpha or a closed beta, and that does seem like a really good way to get those folks involved. I'm really optimistic we can get some folks at the cab excited enough that they want to be part of that as well, but we'll see.
I apologize, I'm taking notes. Sam, why don't you jump to your point and I'll finish up the product intelligence. Okay, you're doing that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump to product intelligence then. I do have a couple, well, I guess one of the things, a couple things for product intelligence I was looking for was I needed volunteers for the triage schedule. So we're in unknown territory for the week of October 3rd and onwards. We don't have any triage scheduled volunteers yet. So this is just an open call out to all group members there. There's an MR there to extend that calendar. So please add yourself to at least one of those slots, and I would greatly appreciate that. I also had something similar for the service ping manual generation. For those that aren't aware, the service ping that we generate is done manually with production Rails console access. So this is something that we only have a few people that are able to do in the group, and I wasn't aware of that actually. And what I also wasn't aware of is that we have a plan to automate that within the data warehouse. And so that's great to hear. Any manual processes that we have to do, especially when they take 24 plus hours to do, is definitely not an efficient use of our time. So I'm glad to hear that's being addressed. That said, after getting all the context from all the product intelligence team members, I'm going to say let's just hold off on granting any more production access to any of the team members, especially since not everyone is familiar with the process itself. So all that to say is I think the data team's expecting by the end of the month to be able to have this automated process complete. And so if that's the case, then I think we're good. Then we can remove all that access if we no longer require production access for anything other than service ping generation. And then that will actually make things easier in terms of, yeah, any interactions with infrastructure as far as granting access and things like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Amanda, you have a point here, which I can type if you'd like to vocalize.
No, it's okay. Just a gentle FYI that automation has been complete since May. And the target date of it going live has continually rolled 3 months in a row. So there is definitely a possibility that it doesn't hit at the end of October. I am very hopeful it does, I think, as is everybody on the team, but there's an open possibility that it doesn't.
For sure. No, I remember that comment. I was just thinking in terms of, okay, if I open up 2 or 3 more access requests and say, go to infrastructure and say, hey, can we grant more? And they have and then we look at Israel's comments where it's like the top priority for this milestone, though I'm sure it was also the top priority for the previous milestones too. But yeah, I mean, if anything, it would be just a stronger case for us to then extend the access to the rest of our group members until they are able to have more confidence in terms of when they can actually complete the automation. So I guess
no, I agree with your decision not to do more training. So but I would just want to put it out there so you're aware.
No, it's worth noting. It's worth noting. But yeah, no, we'll see what happens this month and then we'll go from there. Cool. Sam, you have the next point. Unless anyone had any other questions. Sorry, I didn't pause. Cool, Sam.
Thanks. So I just wanted to signal boost. I am working on hiring a new product manager for the product intelligence group as Amanda transitions to her new group. If any of you all have folks in your network you think would be a good fit, please share their information with me as well as the role with them, so that we can get someone in that's really going to do a great job. And I'll also point out we do have a referral incentive. So if you do find someone that we end up hiring, there's some bonus in it for you personally as well. So wanted to signal boost that. Dennis, back to you.
Yes, and to piggyback off of that, as I had mentioned before, we are hiring still for both groups, product analytics and product intelligence. So we are still looking for 2 backend engineers for product analytics, 1 backend engineer for product intelligence, and of course, as I mentioned earlier this morning meeting, 1 front-end engineer for product intelligence. And like Sam had mentioned, we do have that referral incentive. And as we had discussed actually in the product intelligence sync, please consult the compensation calculator. We do have a page where we can indicate which countries we are able to hire from and which that we aren't, due to a variety of legal reasons and things like that. So please, as you submit referrals, just double check that just so we're being efficient with our candidates' times. Tim, you have some comments here. Would you like to vocalize?
Yes, so if you have referrals, as already said, they are more than welcome, but please also let us as hiring managers know additionally, so because then we are always looking that we get them checked out ASAP, because sometimes there is in Greenhouse, you can't filter by referrals or anything, they get lost so easily. So if you have any sort of referral, let always the hiring manager, for our position and for any other position, know, so that they simply have an eye on them as soon as possible. That would be tough if we basically have a referral that we know already have the background that this would be a great person for the team, and then it takes us 2 weeks until we get through the CVs. The other thing is I have also around 800 applicants in two other pipelines for front-end engineers in plan at the moment. So I'm trying to get also through them with the hiring managers there and try to see if we have some super candidates that would be perfect fits also for either product intelligence or product analytics to some extent. And we will also guide them over here. So.
Perfect. Max, you had a point as well?
Yeah, just for all of those roles, including the PM ones as well, if we can get links to the full job adverts, so we know that the people we're referring are exactly what we're looking for, just because I've made referrals in the past that were rejected for not, matching a particular criteria, but were otherwise potentially strong candidates for other teams.
That's a good point, and actually that's something I've been trying to get to. I need to do some revisions to the job descriptions. I will link them just so that we can have them apply. I do want to tweak the backend engineering one for product analytics a little bit, but they should be mostly up to date. That said, if anyone would like to help out with application review and things like that, we can potentially get that going. I could definitely use some help there. As I guess as a kind of call out to what I'm going to be focusing on for the next 2 weeks is primarily getting the stack set up and answering any questions infrastructure has, just so we can get the internal handbook, collecting data so that we can actually start building the dashboards around it. So hiring is still a top priority of mine, but if anyone wants to help out with that, I can definitely use it.
I'm happy to help where possible.
Awesome. Thanks,
Me
Max.
too.
Thanks, Rob. All right. Well, we've reached the several empty list items here. So does anyone have anything else they would like to add to the agenda?
No, I'm just
All right.
looking so much forward to see us counting events on the internal handbook. So
Yeah,
if
well,
anything is needed, let me know. Happy to carry it through and push wherever needed.
I think we're in a good spot. So we're very close, and I'll keep pushing for mine as well. So thanks for the support, everyone. If anyone has any questions or feedback, let us know. Otherwise, yeah, enjoy the rest of your Mondays and have a good week. And we'll see everyone next time.
Take care,
Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.